Welcome back. This is lesson 5.2, write percents as fractions and decimals. I will be able to correctly write percents as fractions in simplest form. As decimals based upon place value. Vocabulary for this word, for this lesson, we have percent, which is part out of 100. Part, which means sum of. Whole is a complete unit. Fraction, we know is part out of a whole. And decimal, we know is a number that is written in decimal form, has a decimal point, and anything before the decimal is whole numbers, and anything after the decimal are parts. So percent means parts out of 100. So knowing this, how would this be written as a fraction? It would be written as a fraction over 100. To be better, let's say a fraction with a denominator of 100. So, how could we write 35% as a fraction? Well, we got 35 out of 100, so we're going to write 35 over 100. Now with that, we like our fractions as simple as possible, so we're just going to simplify that, but turning it into a fraction is no problem. So now that I have it over 100, I'm just going to think what can go into both 35 and 100. Well, I know that 5 can divide into 35, and 5 can also divide into 100. So to simplify this fraction, 35 divided by 5 is going to equal 7, and 100 divided by 5 would equal 20. So 35% in its simplified fraction form is 7 out of 20. Okay, 84% would be 84 out of 100. So if I'm doing 84 out of 100, I'm going to reduce that. What goes into both 84 and 100? I can divide this by 2. I can divide this by 2. 84 divided by 2 gives me 42. So I've got 42 over 100 divided by 2 is 50. Divide 42 by 2 and 50 by 2 again. And that can simplify to 21 over 25. 21 and 25 share nothing else in common, so that is my simplified fraction. Okay, 23% would be 23 over 100. Now simplifying that, what can go into both 23 and 100 to simplify this down? Remember our tricks of using 2s and 5s? Will 2 go into 23? No. Will 5 go into 23? Nope. So that's as simplified as it's going to get. Okay, 245% would mean 245 over 100. Well, knowing that this is bigger than this, that means it's going to be 2 and 45 over 100 in a mixed number form. So we can reduce 45 over 100. What goes into both 45 and 100? 5 will. So if I divide the top by 5 and the bottom by 5, 45 divided by 5 equals, divided by 5 equals 20. So that would be 2 and 9/20. Okay, you can see that turning percents into fractions really isn't that hard. So here it says, what do you know about place value that can be helpful that could help you turn each of the percentages above into decimal numbers. Think about place value. Think about decimals. Remember the hundredths place? So the hundredths place means out of 100. So if I can turn a percent, so if percent means out of 100, then we can use this to write decimals. Alright, so down here we're going to practice that. We're going percent to fraction to decimal. So, percent, 72%, that means 72 out of 100. So that name in words would be 72 hundredths. Well, how do you write 72 hundredths as a decimal? 0 and 72 in the hundredths place. Simple enough, right? So 4% would be 4 out of 100. Hundredths, if we were to write that in words. So 4 hundredths would mean 0 whole numbers. Nothing in the tens place because we only have something in the hundredths place. 0.04, 4 hundredths is the same as 4%. Okay, what about 168%? That would be 168 over 100. Or 168 hundredths. What's another way I could write that? Isn't this larger than this? So wouldn't that also be the same as 1 and 68 hundredths? So that would be 1 whole and 68 hundredths. Now what do you notice about the percent? So what connection can you see between the decimal value and the original percentage? Well, what I can see is that the decimal place is 2 values 2 places to the left. Is there a shortcut we can take to convert percentages to their decimal form? We can move the decimal in a percent to place values to the left to write it in its decimal form. Okay, try your strategy here. Convert 54% and 97% into a decimal. So if this is 54%, the decimal on 54 would be right here. So I'm going to move it 1, 2 place values to the left, 0 and 54 hundredths. So 97%, here's my decimal. Move it 1, 2 to the left. It's the same as 0.97. Okay, rate yourself on this concept. How do you feel about turning decimals or percentages into fractions and into decimals? Take a picture and turn it in on Google Classroom.